Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Personal Shopping. Over 20 years ago, I worked as a cashier at a large grocery store. This place was huge. We sold everything from standard groceries to expensive gourmet items. One busy Saturday morning, with long lines and tons of customers, I was suddenly called away from my checkout lane to the front desk. The manager on duty was speaking with a well-dressed woman, and I was told she wanted someone to do her shopping for her and bring the items up for checkout. Now, back then, personal shopping wasn't a thing. Our store didn't offer it, and I'd honestly never even heard of it before. I respectfully pointed out that leaving my register would just make lines longer and inconvenience other customers. But I was told, just get it done, and they handed me her shopping list. It had already been a long morning. My feet were sore and I wasn't in the mood to rush, so I took my time. Even better, the list she gave wasn't specific. No brands, no quantities, just vague items like apples, meat, tomato sauce. So I made some very premium choices. Apples? Only the finest organic ones, by the pound. Meat? Prime rib and filet mignon. Tomato sauce? I picked 8 jars of imported sauce that cost $16 each. Almost an hour later, I wheeled the cart back up to the front. She was still waiting. The manager rang everything up, and the total? Over $600. She looked shocked and tried to argue, but by now the manager had apparently found some backbone. He told her, "We honored your request. You can either pay or do the shopping yourself." She wasn't happy, but in the end she paid the full amount. I returned to my register and never heard another word about it. The next story is called Horsepower. Years ago, when my youngest daughter was a teenager, she had her own truck that she used to drive to and from school. Well, as most teens do at some point, she managed to get herself grounded. I can't even remember what for now, but her dad took her keys and said, 2 weeks, no truck. This meant she'd have to ride the school bus. Or walk. We lived on a farm just outside of a small town, and the high school was just over a mile away, as the crow flies. Now here's the important part. Our daughter was a barrel racer. She had a few horses and was very comfortable riding, often going out to the arena across town or riding through the fields. Her horses were well trained. If she ever fell off, the horse would automatically head home on its own. So if we ever saw a horse show up at the house alone, we knew something was up. This was way before cell phones. Her dad and I both worked off the farm. We left early in the morning, before she had to leave for school, and we wouldn't get home until around 6 p.m. During those 2 weeks she was grounded, she didn't complain much, which should have been our first clue. What we found out later, much later, was that she had figured out a workaround. She was riding her oldest horse to school bareback, with just a halter, early in the morning. Then she turned the horse loose and it would trot right back home on its own. After school, a friend would give her a ride home, and she'd quietly return the horse to the proper field before we ever pulled into the driveway. She never touched her truck. She didn't break the rules. And technically, she didn't ride the school bus either. We could only shake our heads. Because Willie, what 16-year-old farm girl wants to ride the bus when she's got a horse? The third story is called Company Policy. I'm a sales manager at a company that offers flexible payment options for people who can't pay full retail upfront. We have automated systems that run payments on cards at set intervals, usually 3 times a day, and once they start running, we can make changes to them manually. If a card declines, our accounts team gives the customer a quick call to make sure they didn't just forget to unlock their card or deposit funds. That's usually where the trouble starts. One day, an upset customer, we'll call her AC, got a call from an associate and wasn't too thrilled. She demanded to speak with her manager. Since our accounts manager was off that day, she got transferred to our general manager. but before the GM could even speak to her, she hung up the phone. So the GM shrugged and went on lunch break. About 15 minutes later, I, the sales manager, answered a call, and AC was already fired up. By the chain of command, I was next in line, and there was no one else left to pass her to, so I braced myself and answered. I'm trying to change the card on my account, but it won't let me. I'm sorry to hear that. If you try to update it yourself, the system does try to charge your card. But if I update it from my side, that won't happen. Let me help you. I had fraud on my account and had to get a new card. This is ridiculous. And that girl who called earlier was trying to overcharge me. Okay, let's take a look. Can I get your account details? I see you have a balance of $85, but I can take your arranged amount plus the late fee. That makes it $79. That's not my normal payment. My normal payment is $75. Yes ma'am, but since the account was due on the 1st and the arrangement was missed today, the system adds a late fee. No, my due date is today. I understand, but due dates are on the 1st or 15th. Arrangements allow flexibility, and if they are honored, late fees are waived automatically. But if we miss the arrangement, the system doesn't allow us to manually remove the fees unless a manager steps in, like I'm doing now. At this point she continued going in circles, so I muted the phone and whispered to my coworker. I'm just going to waive the late fee and take her $75 to keep things calm. But before I could finish, this is outrageous. I want to speak to the GM. I can help you. No, I want to talk to the GM. Okay, but just so you know, she's going to tell you the same thing. If I help you now, just have her call me. And with that, she hangs up. My coworkers and I laughed a little, because honestly, our GM doesn't play around. If anyone is going to stand firm, it's her. About 15 minutes later, AC showed up in person, nearly flying into the parking lot and slamming her car door. I was joking. Who did you upset now? She said, I need a manager. That's me, how can I help? I just spoke with the rudest person ever on the phone. She had a terrible attitude and doesn't know how to treat customers. At this point, I thought maybe one of our newer team members needed some coaching. So I asked, oh no, who did you speak with? Karen. I was confused. I'm sorry, we don't have anyone named Karen. No, I am Karen. Karen McCarran. Oh. And who were you speaking with on the phone? Some completely unprofessional person. I want her gone. That would be me. There was an awkward pause. And then she said, and you are the manager? Yes, ma'am. As I mentioned, your due date was the 1st. Arrangements are flexible dates, but missing them can add fees unless we override it. No, my due date is today. I don't have any late fees. I understand, but the system doesn't work that way. Your payment was attempted on the original card. Fine, but I'm talking to your boss. She threw 4 $20 bills onto the counter. I'm sorry, but since the card didn't process, I have to go by the standard amount. That's $80 plus the late fee, making it $85. Do you have a corporate number? This is unacceptable. I've been a loyal customer for years and have never been treated like this. She threw the rest of the money down at that moment. All of this happened in front of my team, who knew I'd be calm and respectful the entire time. Yes ma'am, the number is right there in the frame above the office. Don't be smart with me. What's your name? No problem. Here, let me write it down for you. Which number is it? My 6'2" coworker, who'd had enough, just took the frame off the wall and held it up in front of her so she could take a picture. She was still ranting. You'll be hearing from them. And I was calmly smiling. Okay, thank you. As she left, she threw one last parting shot. You should dress better and maybe wear some makeup. You look wrecked. That other associate looks more like a manager than you do. She could probably do your job better. I was in full uniform, natural hair and clear skin. Okay, thank you. And I waved cheerfully. After she left, my coworker said, didn't you say you were going to waive her fees? Yeah, but she didn't let me get that far. The last story is called Weekend Madness. I work at a large grocery store, and my friend Amy is a team lead. Team leads often get pulled into helping other departments. but since ours is always insanely busy, someone has to stay and lead the team when Amy or the other leads are away. So every day one of the regular employees is assigned as the acting team lead for the day. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Our department manager, Taylor, has a bit of a reputation for playing favorites. She's close friends with a few employees, and those employees tend to get a lot more flexibility, like getting out of tasks, getting preferred shifts, or being handed leadership roles, even when they are not scheduled for them. The favorite? His name's Mark. Taylor loves letting Mark be in charge, even when he's not the assigned ATL, which happens a lot. Amy came into work and asked one of our co-workers, Sarah, to help her with something. Sarah agreed and started working on it. Not long after, Mark came over and asked Sarah to do something else. Sarah politely told him, "Sorry, I'm already doing something Amy asked me to do." Mark left and Sarah figured that was the end of it. But nope. About an hour later, Amy and Sarah both got called into Taylor's office. Taylor told Sarah that she should have listened to Mark because he was the ATL. Amy, confused, pointed out that I was the ATL for the day, not Mark. It was on the schedule. Taylor doubled down and said she had told Mark he could be ATL and that Sarah should have followed his instructions instead of Amy's. Now imagine being told, as the actual team lead, that your authority doesn't count anymore. Amy was understandably irritated, so she decided, well, if Mark's in charge, then let him handle it. She grabbed Sarah and went to help out the produce department, who, by the way, had actually requested support, and left Mark to manage our department. Now, under normal circumstances, that might not have been a huge deal, but this was a Saturday. If you've ever worked in retail or grocery, you know, weekends are wild. The department gets absolutely slammed. Sure enough, about 30 minutes later, wait times were through the roof. The department was in chaos. I had just clocked out and was chatting with Amy before heading home, when Taylor radioed her. "Why are wait times so high in the department?" Without missing a beat, Amy responded, "I don't know. I'm not back there. But Mark is. He should know." Mic drop. Suddenly, Taylor flipped the script. "Well, Mark's not in charge of the department. I need you to get back there and run things." Amy, cool as ever, replied, "Sure, I'll head back right after I finish stocking this cart." The cart wasn't even halfway done. I laughed, said goodbye and went home. But I can only imagine what that department looked like after 30 more minutes of weekend madness. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.